3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to another training video on important radio terms. Today we're going to be talking about different pieces of equipment and their importance in broadcasting. First off, we're going to be talking about two pieces of equipment at the same time. We're going to be talking about the compressor and the limiter. I'm not going to get too much into detail about what these do, but what you really need to know in terms of a compressor and a limiter is that a compressor helps to equalize the volume of audio that is going out on the air. So it ensures that the quiet portions of audio are a little bit louder, and then the loud portions of the audio are a little bit quieter. A limiter, on the other hand, just makes sure that audio is not too loud on the air. If you have audio that's too loud, it's going to create distortion, and it's going to sound bad, and it may even hurt people's ears. So that's why we have compressors and limiters. We also have compressors and limiters because very loud audio can actually damage the equipment as well. So compressors and limiters also help to ensure that we don't have audio that's too loud and therefore damaging our equipment. Next up, we have the delay system. You're going to learn a little bit more about the delay system when we talk about how to air your radio show. A delay system takes the audio that is coming from the studio and delays it by a certain number of seconds. It is required by the FCC that every radio station delays their audio by at least 7 seconds. We at WWSU delay our audio by 10 seconds. Why is this important? Well, there are some regulations about what you can and cannot say on the air. A delay system allows you the ability to cut out immediately whenever a profanity or something that shouldn't be aired accidentally gets said. So let's say in our case, we have a 10-second delay. Let's say you say the F word through the microphone. You have 10 seconds to push the dump button to ensure that that F word never goes out on the air. So it basically erases that 10 seconds and it never goes out on the air. And then once you dump, it slowly rebuilds the delay by playing the on-air audio slightly slower than what's actually happening in the studio. But it does so ever so slightly so that listeners don't notice. Next, we have one of the most important pieces of equipment, because you can't air a show without it, the microphone. Now, what the microphone does is it takes vibrations, and there is like a little disc or a drum inside of a microphone that collects that the frequencies and the vibrations, turns it into a signal, which then goes through the wire and into the audio equipment. Speaking of cords, we have the XLR cord. This is one of the most common types of cords that we use here at WWSU. You have your hot, your neutral, and then your ground. It's a 3-prong cord, and as you can see at the back of the microphone, you can notice that there are 3 pegs here, and then they fit nicely into the holes of the XLR cord. At the other end of the XLR cord, you have the male version, which has the pins, which then goes into the audio equipment. Hopefully I don't make a mess knocking all of these CDs over. Now, some terms for other audio cords you might hear are RCA, which is this. You may be familiar with this if you have an old VCR or something like that. So you have a red cord and a white cord, and one of them's the left channel. I believe it's the white one's the left channel, and the red one's the right channel for audio. You also have the 1/4 inch, which is also frequently used in professional radio, which looks like this. It's basically a large version of the headset jacks that you're familiar with, also called the 1/8 inch, which is this one. So you got your 1/4 inch here and your 1/8 right there. Another term that you might not hear very often is phantom power. Some condenser microphones require an additional source of power in order to work. That's where phantom power comes in. So phantom power is basically, it delivers 48 volts of electricity through the cord to the microphone to power the microphone. And that way it can more easily pick up on sounds and send that signal back to the audio equipment. Next, you have the mixer, which is this. So a mixer takes multiple input channels and then outputs audio through multiple output channels. And through the mixer, you can control the volume of each individual channel, and you can control which output channels each input channels will go out to. On the mixer board, you have what we call faders. So you see my hand right here, this little sliding thing right here that I'm sliding back and forth. This controls the volume of the channel, so fader. The reason why it's called a fader is because you might do something like this, where you take two different channels and fade between them like this. So that means the audio on one channel goes down, and at the same time the audio of another channel goes up. And that's another term for crossfading as well. So you're crossfading between two channels. You could technically call these volume knobs for like the speakers and stuff. You could call those faders as well, but we just call them volume controls because you generally don't fade between, two different speakers. And finally, we have the VU meter. I'm going to move the camera here so you can see the VU meter. So the VU meter can come in different forms. The ones you see here are needles, and sometimes they come in lights. So for instance, if we look up here to the microphone processor, you see as I'm talking, you can see a row of green and yellow lights in the top left-hand corner that are moving along with my voice. So that's a light-based VU meter, and then these are needle-based VU meters. So I'm going to turn the microphone on here so you can see the left one moving as I'm talking. VU meters, VU stands for volume unit. It's simply a measurement of the volume. It helps you to visualize how loud your channels are. So without having to have a speaker on and constantly listening to your channels, you could just look at the VU meter to tell if you are too loud or too soft, and so on and so forth. So that's what a VU meter does, and it's very important to be checking your VU meters regularly when you're doing your show, and then making volume adjustments as necessary. Because some people talk more quiet than others. You want to make sure that the quiet people are a little bit louder on the mixer board than your loud people. That way they sound about the same on the air. So those are some important radio terms for audio equipment. Thank you for listening to this video, and we'll be talking more radio terms in another video.